Welcome to Senior Living Marketing Perspectives. I'm Debbie Howard, co-founder of Senior Living Smart. And today I have the pleasure of speaking to Ben Rao, who is the co-founder of Mom's House. Welcome, Ben.
Hi, Debbie. Thanks for having me. This is great.
Yeah, I'm always thrilled to talk to you. So Ben and I met, gosh, it was probably about 6 months ago now. Just an introduction, like a warm introduction from a mutual contact. And Ben had this, what I thought was a wonderful idea, and I wish I had it, 10 or 20 years ago when I was trying to help families through their decision process and through their journeys. And really trying to find a way to simplify the home selling process for older adults and their families. And I thought it was altruistic. It was a win-win. I was excited to learn more. And since then, Ben and his partners have done a great job just kind of refining the concept. So Ben, I just love to, really hear your backstory. I always like when I talk to entrepreneurs to hear that founder story, what the problem was that they were trying to solve, and kind of what the inspiration was. Because starting a company from scratch like this is not the easiest thing. You could have done a lot of other things. I know you've done startups before, but love to hear a little bit about your background and backstory and how Mom's
Sure,
House came to be.
sure. No, thank you. Yeah, I do have a passion for starting companies and startups. I love building businesses and have done that for a long time. I've been involved in the senior space for a few years and really understand it well and all the things that the families are going through as they make that transition into senior living. Before that, and for the last 10 plus years, I have been involved in multiple companies that I started that are in the real estate investment space. So these are people that I'm sure you've all heard about that are buying properties, they're fixing them up and selling them, or fixing them up and as rentals. And one of my last companies that I had an exit and sold in 2017 was a national buying group of almost 15,000 real estate investors all over the country. Bringing them all together, and we marketed to them to get them to spend money on materials at places like Lowe's and Sherwin-Williams and insurance and different things. And that was one of the ways that we monetized that company. I sold that in 17. I decided to invest some time back into my own community, building out a old post office into a business incubator and co-working and shared space with business coaching and masterminds and office space and meeting rooms, event space, all to try to keep dollars in our own community. I live in Lee Summit, which is a suburb of Kansas City, and it's a great town right outside of 10 miles outside of Kansas City, and a great quality of life. And I'm really involved in the community there. That led me to connect with the founders of another company in the senior space. That's Family Solutions for Care. That's one of the companies that I'm also a partner in that helps seniors that have long-term care insurance claims, and we act as an advocate for that family to make sure they maximize those policies and find retroactive benefits that they may be paid for previous care. That really was my indoctrination through that company into the senior space. And sorry, I've got a dog at my feet going crazy. There's a squirrel going by in my office. So that was my indoctrination over the last 2 years into the senior space. And what I realized was that the same pain that these families are going through, and we hear the struggles every day of a family not able to get an insurance company to pay to get them into a care community, or denials, and that the care communities that already put so much time and effort into working to get that lead for that senior, for the prospective resident into the care community, they realized that through all that process, there was something else that was broken. And I had connected a year and a half ago or so with somebody that had been doing a lot of real estate investment, not real estate agent, in the senior space, and had developed over the last 7 or 8 years the model to be able to connect into the senior industry in their own market. And so he was doing 50 or 60 transactions a year just from people referring from communities, placement agents, downsizing agents, elder law attorneys. And when the two of us met, we said, what a great opportunity to mash some things together and create momshouse.com, and the ability to serve these families that are totally stressed out, that
Yeah.
are totally don't know any, nobody's planning to put their mom into long-term care. That's not something that you're looking ahead for. And even if somebody's looking ahead, it's still when it's time and the rubber meets the road, and they need to go into care. And then, of course, there's lots of different ways that people get into the web of long-term care, whether that's through online placement agents or other ways that maybe they're getting a barrage of calls from different people. But then it comes to the point that they need to move into care, and the communities have put so much time with their marketing and sales team to develop a relationship and say, this is the best place for you. And you come in, and then all of a sudden it's, we want to move in, but we need to sell the house. The house is one of the barriers. It may maybe just be one of many barriers that they need to deal with to be able to move mom into long-term care. Or they've moved mom into long-term care. They have the funds to pay for it. They got it started and said, we'll deal with the house later. Well, now they have a house that is not been updated in 15 years. The basement and the rooms are filled with stuff. It's piled high with family stuff, knickknacks, leftovers. And mom's moved from 2,000 square feet to 200 square feet. And so she can only take the top 10 things that she really wants to move into care. And what we see is these families getting forced into a corner to say, the only option I have is to hire a real estate agent, go out, fix the house up, get quotes, clean it out, get it listed, get it on the MLS, and get it sold. And that process realistically is at least 4 to 6 months. And the family are not professionals at doing this, and they're paying retail prices to get rehab and work done, and it never goes as fast, and contractors don't show up. And during that whole 6-month period of time, they're paying for taxes, insurance, maybe payments, utilities, all these operating expenses to keep the house turned on. You have to change your policy as far as how you insure it, so it's a little more expensive because now nobody lives in it. Vandalism, those kinds of things. So all those things come together, become a real heartbreak and stress point for the adult children that are really focused on, I need to take care of my parents and get them into care. And we saw this as just that the system is broken. Today's system is broken. Nobody in their right mind that has a house wants to rehab it. It's painful. It's never on budget. And so we developed a network of trusted senior transition specialists that are experienced home buyers all over the country. They're not real estate agents, they're actually home buyers that when a community or an LLO attorney or placement agent has somebody that needs to move into a community and they have a house, that they can introduce that family to mom's house, and we will then hand it to one of our certified mom's house buyers all over the country. That house buyer can go and visit with the family, or during COVID, some of those transactions have happened without them going to the house, but they'll go out and they can make an offer to buy the house for cash and close in less than 30 days.
Wow.
The family doesn't have to clean it out. They don't have to pay any of the operating expenses monthly for 4 to 6 months. They don't pay any commissions. There's no fees to the family at all. So when you put all those fees together and you put the stress on the family ends up at about the same place dollar amount, because by the time they upgrade it and they do these things and they do all that, versus I'll close in 3 weeks and now we've got money and we don't have to worry about it. And a lot of these adult children, Debbie, I live 500 miles from my mother, and I live 800 miles from my father. My mother's in Louisville, my father's in the Maryland area. So it's like, okay, or you get siblings and there's 4 of them and 3 out of 4 live out of town. And there's one that's the responsible, usually a woman, right? Female, that is there, and that becomes they're the caretaker for the adult child to manage all that. And nobody wants to manage it. Nobody wants to manage a rehab. Nobody wants to do that. And it's a great solution to eliminate all the stress. And selfishly on the community side, it helps people to move in faster to the communities. So it's like it really becomes a win-win. It becomes a really high quality lead for our certified network. And those certified investors, they go through 14 hours, 2 full days of a class where we're teaching sensitivity to the family. What's the emotional stress going on? What's happening? How did we get here? We bring in placement agents for guest speakers. We bring in downsizing experts. We tour long-term care communities. So they really get a feel for the industry, what the family's going through, all these things over that 2-period day. And then all of our class is still available on an online academy. And then we have a continuing education program too for year 2. Private closed community group where we exchange information and how people are connecting and the experiences and success stories that they're going through. And it feels really good to help the families and to build a business that we really can help the families. It's very different than some of the other businesses that I've had, and it's like, wow, okay, this is going to help.
Yeah, it's a big help. It's having worked with hundreds, thousands of families over the years, it's always a big stress. And there's so many, dynamics going on at the time that people are making these transitions. So, sometimes you see the worst of families in this kind of crisis situation.
Oh my
So
gosh,
there's,
stories. It's crazy.
The stories are crazy. And so, as the family's trying to figure out, well, who's going to fix it up? Are you going to spend your weekend, and who's going to do what, and who's going to divvy up the work? And, everyone's got, some handy friend that's going to come over, and then, who's going to do more? And if I do more, does that mean that when come time to settle up the house that I should get more? Are we going to get, how much of this investment, are we going to get back? And I think you have some really kind of compelling things to say, even for people that decide to go down the road of, I'll go the traditional real estate route. I'll get a realtor in. The realtor will tell me all the things that have to be
you need to
updated.
fix. That's right.
Because, as it turns out, nobody really wants avocado green and harvest gold anymore. Or
we've already missed that cycle. That was in, I think, about 8 years ago. Like, every 30 years, right? So the cabinets from the 70s came back in again in the early 2000s, and now they've gone back out. Now we're back to the whites and the grays. You did mention something I don't want to have it get overlooked, because it's really interesting. A lot of people don't realize this is one of the things that we help the certified buyers position. So from a third party, remodeling.net, they're a national organization that they take averages of all the remodeling costs by region, and they put it together, and then they say the cost of that remodel versus what the value it adds to the house. So I'll give you a simple example. A lot of people may say they need to update a bathroom or a kitchen, or they're going to replace the windows before they go to sell it, right? So doing those things, if you spent $50,000 to do those 3 things, it's only adding about $35,000 of value to the actual property. So you were better off not doing it versus doing it.
Yeah.
And because the people that we're dealing with are very experienced, that are part of our certified network, these people are doing between 50 and 300 transactions a year. So they do this for a living. They have companies built around it. They have systems and processes that they can go remodel that house for probably half the price of what retail is, because they have their own crews. And that's really part of the way that these companies make money, right? So it's not a lowball offer. If a house is worth $200,000 and they come in and say, we're going to buy it for $140,000, well, by the time you peel off $12,000 of commissions and the loss that you have for remodeling and the operating cost and all the other expenses to get that ready and get it there, the family ends up almost at the exact same place, but they shave 5 months of stress off their life, and they get access to their money much sooner. So it's all about, we're building this brand of love with Mom's House. Mom's House, we like to talk about it as like it's a big hug, because we want to help the families. And I think people are surprised to see some of the testimonials from families that say, thank you for helping us. This was the greatest thing ever. And that's why we built the company, is because it's like, we can help families and solve something in a system that's broken. And so we've been growing, almost doubling monthly since we started the company over a year ago, and we've got coverage in almost every market across the United States. And we work with hundreds of families and a lot of placement agents, elder law attorneys, but a lot of the communities, where the rubber meets the road. and that family's coming in and they realize, okay, we have a house, whether they need it to pay for care or not, it's
Hmm.
still a great fit to do that.
Yeah, oh, it definitely is. So from the community standpoint,
Yeah.
are there any fees to the community? Is there any cost for a community to become part of your network? And the second part of that is, how would they become part of your network, and how would they get this information into the hands of their prospects who are probably thinking, oh, I can't believe I'm going to have to sell this house. I don't have time for
Yep.
this. Maybe
Yep.
we should just have mom stay home and we'll deal with it next spring.
Yeah. So I left this out, but when somebody refers somebody to us, usually that gets the hands of one of our certified investors within a half a day. Just depends on what time of the day it comes in. Worst case, it's kind of next day.
Hmm.
And we have a bench of people waiting in some of those third tier, fourth tier markets, where we don't have a lot of families that are being referred to us yet, but we have people waiting. So coverage is not a problem. A lot of the background that I had with the other company, we've got an expansive network, but we're not like real estate agents. We don't have 10,000 people. We've got, our goal is like to have 1,000 to 1,200 solid partners that we know can do these transactions, and they've been sensitized to what the family's going through, and they know how to
Hmm.
speak the language of the senior industry. So if you're a community, we don't charge anything to use our service. All we ask is that we put a simple 2-page referral agreement in place, and that referral agreement is not required, but if you do the referral agreement, it puts you into our system that if we have a family that gets referred to us or comes to the website that needs to be placed somewhere, that we'll introduce them to you, and we're not going to charge anything to the community. So we're not trying to monetize that client as a placement agent. We're happy to just make that introduction, because sometimes people have houses in different parts of the country that come through our network that are moving in somewhere else, and they don't have a community picked out yet. So for us to
Yeah.
refer somebody to a community, that's part of why we want the referral agreement in place. And then what we'll do is we will provide marketing materials, so a flyer that they can include in their sales packet.
Hmm.
We have the ability for a community to go to our website and refer a family to us and let us know which community they're part of, so then we can track all that. And one of the things that we do is that we have a requirement with our certified network to give us feedback on a regular basis of how things are going.
Hmm.
What's going on? Did you get a hold of the family? What happened? What was the disposition of that? Well, they thought they wanted to sell it in the next 30 days. Now they pushed it out to say maybe it's going to be 90. We're just staying on top of that, because our brand is about how do we serve the senior community. And
Hmm.
so these people that are certified are an extension of our brand. And we built this to be a resource for the long-term care industry.
That's great. That's great. Wow, I think it's a wonderful service. I'm sure you would be willing to do educational webinars for prospects and help the communities kind of get the word out, because
Oh,
I think it's a
that's a great point. Yeah, we do. If you're doing webinars as a community to educate people or using it to attract prospects, we're happy to be involved in that, to where we're talking about this as part of the solution. So if you're going to host a webinar and you're going to have 20 families come to that, we're happy to come in and insert ourselves in for 3 or 4 slides, just to know that this is an option, one of many options on how they pay for long-term care.
Yeah, I think that would be wonderful, because it's a new concept, so it always takes a little bit of education. So I'm glad that people could learn about Mom's House here, and tell us how they can get in touch with you
The
and
easiest
join your
way,
network.
yeah, the easiest way is to go to momshouse.com. And if you go to momshouse.com, you have the ability to opt in on the front page for a guide there for one of our brochures that'll tell you all about our program. So you can just put your name and email there, and then you certainly are welcome to reach out to us. We want to know, we'd love to know how you heard about us. So if you're listening to this podcast, when you touch base with us, please let us know that you heard it there. We're always looking for how can we be more effective to get the word out to the communities and know that we're a trusted brand and a resource for long-term care communities.
That's great. Well, Ben, thank you for sharing your senior living marketing perspectives with us
Yeah,
today.
yeah,
And
thanks for having me. Great.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get back out there on the road and see each other at a conference sometime soon.
Oh my gosh, someday, right?
That's right.
Thanks a lot, Debbie. See
Thanks,
you later. Have a
Ben.
great day.
Okay, you too.